Let me guess, you've tried budgeting before. It worked for a few days, maybe a week. Then reality hit, bills showed up, something unexpected happened, and suddenly the budget was useless. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Budgeting feels impossible when you're already broke. Not because you're bad with money, but because most budgets are designed for people who already have breathing room. When every dollar already has a job, spreadsheets don't help. Motivation doesn't help, and guilt definitely doesn't help. In this video, I'm not going to tell you to cut more or try harder. That advice is lazy. Why regular budgeting fails when you're broke? Let's start with something most people won't say out loud. Budgeting feels useless when you're broke because most budgeting advice assumes you have extra money. It assumes you can adjust categories or optimize spending. But when every dollar is already spoken for, there's nothing to optimize. Rent is fixed, utilities are fixed, food isn't optional. So when someone tells you to just budget better, it sounds disconnected from reality. That's not your fault. That's bad advice. Traditional budgets are built for people with flexibility. When you don't have flexibility, you need a different approach. One that focuses on survival first, stability second, and growth later. The real goal isn't saving, it's stopping the bleeding. Here's a mindset shift that changes everything. When you're always broke, the goal of budgeting is not saving money. Not yet. The real goal is to stop financial bleeding. Bleeding looks like overdraft fees, late payment penalties, emergency expenses going on credit cards, borrowing just to get through the month. If your budget doesn't reduce these, it's not working, even if it looks good on paper. So instead of asking, how much can I save? Ask, what keeps pushing me backwards every month? That question leads to better decisions. Start with a survival budget, not a perfect one. When money is tight, you don't need a detailed budget. You need a survival budget. A survival budget has only 3 categories: must pay bills, food and basic living, damage control. That's it. Must pay bills are things that will seriously hurt you if you miss them. Rent, electricity, transportation needed for work. These get paid first. No debate. Food and basic living come next. Not luxury groceries, not eating out, just enough to function. Then comes damage control. This is where most budgets fail. Damage control is money set aside to prevent emergencies from becoming disasters. Even a small amount here can change your month. This budget isn't pretty, but it's honest. Why tracking every dollar doesn't work right now? You've probably been told to track every expense, every coffee, every snack, every small purchase. That advice sounds responsible, but when you're broke, it usually backfires. Here's why. Tracking everything creates guilt without control. You see where money goes, but you don't actually have better options. So instead of feeling empowered, you feel worse. Right now, awareness is enough. Precision can come later. You don't need to know every dollar. You need to know the big pressure points, the expenses that repeat every month and quietly hurt you. Once those are under control, detailed tracking starts to make sense. Use weekly thinking instead of monthly thinking. Monthly budgets feel overwhelming when money is tight. A whole month looks like too much to manage. One unexpected expense can break everything. So shrink the time frame. Think weekly. Ask yourself one simple question. What do I need to get through this week without falling behind? Weekly budgeting reduces anxiety. It makes money feel manageable, and it gives you more chances to reset if something goes wrong. If one week goes badly, the month isn't ruined. You adjust next week. This alone helps many people stick to a budget for the first time. Build a buffer before you try to save. This part is critical. If you try to save money while constantly dealing with emergencies, you'll feel like you're failing, even when you're doing your best. Before saving, you need a buffer. A buffer is not a full emergency fund. It's a small amount of money that absorbs shocks, unexpected expenses, timing issues, small surprises. Even 300, 500 can change how your finances feel. This buffer prevents overdrafts. It prevents panic. It prevents debt. Once you have it, budgeting becomes calmer, less emotional, less reactive. Why cutting expenses is often the wrong focus. When someone is broke, the first advice they hear is cut expenses. Sometimes that helps. Often, it doesn't. If you're already living lean, there's nothing left to cut without hurting your quality of life or your ability to work. Cutting more creates stress, not progress. Instead of cutting, focus on smoothing. Smoothing means making expenses predictable, aligning bills with paydays, avoiding spikes, reducing surprises. Predictability is more powerful than reduction when money is tight. Once your month feels smoother, everything else becomes easier. The real problem: irregular cash flow. For many people, the issue isn't spending too much. It's cash flow timing. Money comes in at one time, bills come out at another. The math works on paper, but not in real life. Budgeting properly means matching timing, not just totals. When cash flow improves, stress drops, even if income doesn't change. This is one of the most overlooked parts of budgeting advice, and one of the most important. What this first stage is really about. This stage of budgeting isn't about winning, it's about stabilizing. You're not trying to get ahead yet, you're trying to stop falling behind. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel exciting. Once stability exists, everything else becomes possible. Saving, planning, improving income, thinking long-term. But without stability, none of that sticks. How to budget when income is inconsistent? If your income changes month to month, traditional budgeting feels even more frustrating. One good month gives you hope. One bad month wipes it out. That emotional swing is exhausting. So instead of budgeting based on your best month, you budget based on your lowest predictable income. This feels conservative, but it's freeing. When you plan around the minimum, good months stop disappearing. Extra money doesn't get absorbed by lifestyle creep. It gets assigned intentionally toward your buffer, overdue bills, or catching up. This approach turns unpredictable income into something manageable. You stop reacting. You start planning. Why small wins matter more than big plans. When you're broke, confidence with money is usually damaged. You've tried things before, they didn't work. So you stop trusting yourself. That's why small wins matter. Paying one bill on time, avoiding one overdraft, getting through 1 month without borrowing. These wins rebuild trust. And once trust comes back, better decisions follow naturally. Big plans fail without confidence. Small wins build momentum. That's how budgeting starts working again. How to transition from survival to stability. There's a moment, quiet but important, when budgeting stops feeling like survival and starts feeling like control. It happens when bills are paid on time. Emergencies don't immediately turn into debt. You know what's coming before it hits. At that point, budgeting becomes proactive instead of reactive. That's when you can start growing the buffer, planning small savings, thinking beyond next month. You don't rush this stage. You let it happen naturally. Stability comes first, growth comes second. Trying to skip this step is why most people end up back at zero. The truth most budget advice ignores. Here's something important. Being broke is not a character flaw. It's often a math and timing problem. Budgeting properly isn't about discipline or motivation. It's about designing a system that works under pressure. Once the system fits your reality, budgeting stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like relief. And that's when it finally sticks. If this helped you see budgeting differently, without guilt or unrealistic advice, support the video with a like. It helps this kind of honest finance content reach people who are actually struggling, not just people who already have it figured out. Share it with someone who feels stuck no matter how careful they are, and subscribe for practical money strategies built for real life, not perfect situations.